Comrades, I am Admiral Andre and welcome back to the next episode of our Cuban campaign with Geopolitical Simulator 4. I have to say today I've been really looking forward to this time that I can get to record and play. You know, it's actually a good thing to make time for that in a schedule. So at any rate, that's that. So, first order of business. Today's episode is going to be renamed, obviously. We're not the democratic rebels anymore, we're the government now. So you'll see that reflected in the title of the video. So essentially now the first phase of getting power is over, and now we start with the real business of running Cuba. Hopefully not into the ground. So, let's have a look. This can get very overwhelming. There's so many things here that we can do, but the most important principle is to take it slowly. Don't overdo it. And that's really the same thing we had during the revolution as well. Don't appear on television too often. Don't instigate rebellions unless it's really advantageous. And of course don't have too many recruitment campaigns, because the effect is diminished if you do it too much. Right, so first thing, I'm going to appoint my cabinet members. That's obviously what we need if we want to rule. I'm not going to wait for my advisor to do that. I'll just do it manually. It's not necessarily the most exciting thing, because I'm just going to pick the people in our party. I just want to see, there's no businessmen here anyway. Usually you'll get that, but of course Cuba is communist, so you're not going to find super rich businessmen. I'm sure there are, but they'll either have ties to the former government or illicit activities and things like that. So the Treasury Minister would have been nice to actually have a businessman there, or woman. But let's have a look at the intellectuals perhaps. I'm probably overthinking this. You just take people from the party, but I really want to think and see if we can find good people for these roles. Now, who will be good for the Treasury here? No one here. Let's see, athletes, I doubt it. Sports Minister we can try and take from here, but I doubt if they'll accept that. Artists, humorist, filmmaker, novelist, singer, top model, no, I don't think so. For this we'll just go, wait a minute, what about associations? Anyone here that looks like they could work well with money? We're rebels, we're starting from scratch, so it would be good to get people with existing skills here. Let's just for the sake of it take the consumer rights president. I'm 100% sure they'll reject it, but I just want to test the theory.
I'm sorry, but this post.
Yes, so obviously they already have a job, so it's not going to work. So let's just appoint new minister and actually see if we can get an athlete in the culture. Is that the place where we would have the sports? Actually, let's try an actor or some kind of novelist. That would be a good idea.
Take your habits somewhere else.
Wow, thanks a lot. I'm offering you a fantastic opportunity here and you're rude to me. That's not good. Culture again. Let's just try this. Just for my own curiosity. So he is not a nice person. A historian hates us, so it's not a good idea there anyway. Let's try health and picking a doctor. That surely makes sense. I would like an actual doctor.
I'm sorry, but this.
No, so we're going to have to take lay people who don't actually know about healthcare. Right, so this is pretty much a bust. Let's just appoint people from the party in power. Now, of course, again, I don't know who's going to cause scandal or who is going to hate each other, so I'm just going to pick randomly pretty much. So 31 years old to be the Treasury Minister is probably a little inexperienced. So let's take 57. Industry Minister, just have to click appoint new minister. Artists, athletes, institutions, unions. other parties that might not, I don't know. I've never done that actually, to appoint someone from another party. They all like me now, even though I just kicked their party out of power. This is all the communists, because of course they were the only legal party before. Should we try this? Maybe it's a way of keeping them happy in a way. What is this again? Industry. No, we should give them a less important ministry. Carlos, it's going to be you. Employment and social. Maybe we'll try there. Of course, employment is still important, but I mean, they're communists, so the social aspect should be easy for them. She likes us. Let's try it. Probably going to reject me.
I'm sorry.
No. Alright. Just worth a try, you know. I'm also learning here. This game is very intricate and has many unexplained facets to it. You'll do. Health Minister, so see again, I couldn't take the doctor there. That's a real pity. Christina Flomides. Homeland Security. This is a bit tedious. That's why it's easier to have your minister or your advisor do this for you. But hey, I've never ruled Cuba before, so might as well do it. What are we doing now? Homeland Security, military. Of course, these people already have their jobs, so they're not going to accept it. And if they do, someone else will take their place. What about the chief of the army? No, let's just pick someone from the party. He's not gonna do it. I can try again, but this intermediary is not open to this, so we've tried him before. I think, comrades, I'm gonna skip this part for your sake. I'll just appoint everyone and then I will get back to you. It's just gonna be people from this list. Obviously, we've seen no one else is interested. So, see you in a moment, comrades. Right, actually I'll jump right in here again, comrades. So far I've managed to get 2 people from the other categories to actually accept here. The one is a judge that now became our justice minister, and the other one is a popular filmmaker that became minister of culture. So that's something. I guess someone else will now become a judge and all of that, but at least we know they're relatively competent for their positions here. Right, comrades, I'm back again. It took me a little time, but finally I have new people in the cabinet. I couldn't find anyone else to accept from the other categories other than the 2 I showed you already. So these are all our party members here. Now you'll see I also tried to make a point to appoint a lot of women as well, so we have a good representation, and younger and older people as well. So hopefully they will do a good job and actually take Cuba forward. Now it's another story whether they're actually competent or whether they'll create scandals and all of that, but we have to at least try. So there's step number 1. Now I'm going to start with normal speed, so we'll just slowly tick by with the clock here, just so we can get things going and get the refugees to come back. Basic things like that, and also get all the messages here. Just pause. Or slow motion. Oh, it doesn't matter. Pause is fine. Mr. President, education. You see, now that we're out of the rebel movement, we have to deal with the real problems of Cuba. Mr. President, education is suffering from a clear lack of materials and equipment. Added to the leniency of the teachers' training, the ruin of our educational system, if you'll allow me to say, is hanging before our very eyes. So education is a major challenge. You know, I actually should write some of this stuff down. This is one of those games where you actually want to write things down. So let me just get a notebook here. Probably unnecessary, but still, this could help us. So now I need a pen. Okay, this should do. Now I'll just write down here. Of course, these are things that we can find out by just looking at the information, but I will write down here priority 1, education. teacher training. And what was the other thing he said? I just want to go back. Lack of materials and equipment. Right. So again, this is where I said before, if you don't have patience, this is not necessarily the game for you. Okay, next step. Recruitment.
The national defense does not have enough men to fulfill its missions.
So the Minister for Defense is saying we don't have enough personnel in the armed forces. I'm not sure if I agree with that necessarily, but career soldiers we only have 369. Now again, what does that mean? Is that 369,000 or 36,900? What exactly is the detail here? We'll have to see somehow. Let's go into the bases now. It's probably actual soldiers. So that's indeed terrible. Yes, it's only a few hundred here and there. Okay, so that's fine. That's the actual number there. And that's probably because most of the troops that served the old government are not interested in working for us. So I think this is a good point. I'm writing this down. Priority 2, recruit troops. Let's be thorough. Let's pretend we're actually running the country here. That's where the fun comes in. Right, next.
I must inform you.
So there's some terrorist suspects. So actually let's have a look at that first. That's under the Secret Service tab and terrorists. So interestingly enough, we are still listed here as the terrorists, the Cuban Democratic Movement. But if I click on that, there's no one there. I've seen this before. So obviously it got to do with the whole transition of power here. So obviously you can understand this. If, I don't know why they say we have only a little money there, but anyway, I think it's also possible that because we're not really democratic per se at the moment, because everything is still the same from the old regime, it's almost like saying there's a new democratic movement that's going to start up over time. That's why they have a few sympathizers and things like that. So it's something we have to keep an eye on. We don't want to generate another movement exactly like ourselves. And this has to do with things like press freedom, elections and all of that, because now essentially we've just taken the place of the Communist Party, so we're still the only legal party now. So something to keep in mind. Right, so messages are done. Let's continue. Let's go back to the normal view here. And just see the people have to come home now. I'm sure also in reality, you can see, well, this is another point, but I'm sure also in reality a lot of Cuban Americans would be coming home now. Possibly. But you can see now, as I said before, the relations are changing quickly back to how they were for the regime. So we see Venezuela loves us, Canada now suddenly hates us, all of this. Now, of course, this is not, accurate or how it would be in real life. You wouldn't start hating the very people you supported only a few days after they take power. You have to give us time to implement democratic reforms. But in this game, they want instant results. But so be it. We'll work on it over time. So I think just to forestall any problems, let's actually, before I start hiring soldiers and do all of that, let's have a look at our budget and all of the basic stats, because we've never seen this before. So, first of all, our current budget, most of it is obviously spent on health and social security, because Cuba has been renowned for its healthcare, and of course that is what the communist government focused on. Now let's just have a look at our total budget. It's $58 billion. Our deficit, and I guess most countries or all countries in this game start with a deficit. I've never seen anyone starting with a surplus. But maybe I've just not played enough. So our current deficit is 2.97 billion. Now, over time, we want to reduce this and eventually get a surplus, because this just means more and more debt. But as we saw before, the public debt of Cuba is not exceptionally high, but it has grown now since that other president took over from Castro. Because we know at the start it was 30-something%, now it's 40%. But still, that's not terrible. There's lots of other countries with more debt as a percentage of their GDP. Sectors nationalized, I'm not going to mess with that at the start. We do things slowly and incrementally. But our public debt is $26 billion. So it's just, I want to see what is the percentage. Deficit in percent to GDP is 4.58%, which is what we see there, although it doesn't quite match that. But we want to see that number reduce over time. Okay, next step, currency. Let's have a look. Inflation has been dropping steadily under the previous government. So right now it is 2.89%, which is not bad at all. Our key interest rate at the moment is 1.5%. We should probably raise that because it's a good idea to keep your interest rate slightly above your rate of inflation. At least that's what I think, but we'll see if it works out that way. Otherwise, with a very low interest rate, you'll make it easy for lots of people to lend money and obtain capital, which is a good thing if you want to grow your economy, but it's not a good thing for inflation. So, next thing, actually, since we're on this, what is our growth rate? Growth forecast, so actually that's not a forecast. Well, I suppose so. You only get the actual growth rate for the previous quarter in the future, you know. It's not immediately reflecting the growth rate. The growth forecast for this year, based on our current point on 11th of September, which is an auspicious but unfortunately a bad date, 5% is not bad, and we can see it's grown from 1.3%. So the low interest rate has actually contributed to that. So I think we are going to increase the interest rate, but I'll keep it locked with inflation for now, just so we don't damper all the growth. Now, bear in mind, I've never been a finance minister, so things might go horribly bad here. Change the interest rate to, these windows don't always stay where you want them to be, 2.89%. I'm not sure what this budget cost actually means. Maybe it just means more, I don't know. How would it cost the budget to increase the inflation or the interest rate? Might have something to do with extra monitoring, or I don't know. I don't exactly understand that, but I'm sure someone can explain that to me. But we'll do that. It's worth it to keep inflation in check. Let's go back to finance again. So we don't care about our GDP as world's share and all that nonsense. It's obviously not going to be on the US level. Our GDP is $64 billion. Okay, that's just the ministry budget. Exports are 17.3 billion, but imports are 32.9 billion. So obviously our trade balance is negative, so we have a trade deficit, and we want to see if we can reduce that over time, but we don't have to be too drastic about that. Now, if we have a look here, I'm not sure what the stock rate through time means. If someone can explain that to me. There's no explanation given for this. Obviously, that's the Dow Jones, so I assume this is like the world. It's a reflection of the health of the global economy, I assume. Our stock rate, I don't know what that means. Someone can explain that. Main production, this is what we mostly produce in the country, so fuel is actually number one. Interesting, I guess we refine petroleum here. Tourism is a big sector for us, and that's possibly surprising, but not really. But you know, with the whole historical embargo by the US on Cuba and all of that, but we're going to make this grow. I want to focus on this sector as much as possible. Building, housing and roadway construction, chemicals, sugar of course. Strange that tobacco is not here. Maybe we can help that sector because Cuban cigars are a thing. Sugar is of course a main ingredient in rum, so that's not a bad thing. Nickel, conventional oil. Do we actually produce oil? We're going to find out. Fossil electricity, hydraulic electricity, which just means hydropower, and sodas. Let's have a look at our energy. Alright, so at the moment Cuba produces its power mostly through fossil fuels, coal, gas, that sort of thing. And 40% is hydropower, which is not bad. That's actually making us one of the more green energy producers. And a little with biomass. That's interesting. We'll see how that works. I've never played around with biomass. So let's click here and just have a look. Our consumption and production are not healthy. We can see we're not producing nearly enough power. So there's blackouts in the country and we're going to have to focus on that. I'm just going to write this down again. Forgive me, comrades. Priority 3. Power generation. I'm writing it down because we're not going to do all of this instantly or all together. So I can just remember what our goals are. Right. Next thing, nuclear, fossil, so on and so on. I'm going to probably focus on the hydropower. It's cleaner than the fossil fuel, so we'll see. We do it through the construction menu, but I'm not going to do it now. Right, what else can we see? Actually, we can now let the clock run again. Obviously, the first episode here is going to be a bit slower just to go through all this stuff, but I'll speed things up later again. Interest rate. Public finances are not too healthy because of all of our deficit and all of that. And this is costing us, as we saw, some $20 or $30 million to increase the interest rate there. So let's do something to make the people happy. This will be our first law of the year. Now again, we take power quite late in the year, September, so we don't want to do too much before the end of the year. But the first thing we can do is go to taxation and okay, that just shows the deficit again. Now here is of course where we punish the people. So I want to reduce some of the tax, but I also want to increase some other tax and then make the people happy, because somehow we still need to close the deficit there. Airline ticket tax. I'm sure this hurts tourism. Right, just stop there. Right, so what is Bernardo Flopes saying here? Mr. President, the current state policy does not offer us the necessary guarantees of freedom and safety. We need a strong signal to reassure and prevent the formation of harmful chasms in the nation. Risk allowing radicals any freedom. So he's just saying we need to keep order here, which is interesting for a priest to say. Happiness increases in Cuba. That's a good thing. We can see all of this by clicking on our country flag there. And we see gross national happiness, which is relatively high. Although again, I don't know what the values are here. So I assume this is in percentage or something. But obviously the higher the better. So what can we do here? Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Do we have a forestation tax here? Or a deforestation tax? Don't think so. Creating that always makes people happy, as well as a tax on pornography. So we already have quite a high tax on that. Let's increase that. Let's make it 40% if possible. Now again, this is percent of turnover, I guess annual turnover, so this is going to hurt the pornography industry, but I guess most people would support that, but we can do a poll. Now, of course, we can do now as many polls as we want because each poll costs $24,000, but we have 378 million in our party budget, so who cares? Let's see if the parliament and the people like this. The people don't actually like this. And that's what I'm going for right now, so we're not going to do this. Actually, let's go back to that. What if we drop this? We're trying to move in the direction of a democracy anyway, so I'm going to drop it to 10%. This is not going to cost us that much, and it should make the people happy. They still are not happy. Well, what if we make it 1%? Okay, they're never happy, so we're going to just leave this as it is. Let's introduce a new tax on deforestation. That's always popular. Let's put it $20 per hectare. I think that's a fair amount to start with. Everyone likes that, so this will bring us $2 million. This is not really for the money, this is just for the popularity. Shall we attach this to a reform? Why not? New reform, that means we can just add many things together and then Parliament votes on it all at once. So this will be the new direction for Cuba Act. Why not? Let's be dramatic. Create the reform. Tax on gambling, let's do that. I think that's a perfectly fair thing to do. Actually, just put it back on 0. What do they say? Okay, it goes in 10th of a percent. Max is 10%. Let's try max. People don't like that. Alright, 5%. Mostly just easier to do it manually. No, they don't like that. Alright, first we just need to curry favor with the people, so we're not going to do that. Let's drop a tax. VAT. Dropping VAT is always costly, but it might generate us a lot of goodwill. Or actually, we could try increasing it and drop something else. What happens if we make it 16%? I like to round things off. Don't know why, just looks cleaner that way. This will bring us $611 million. Of course, the people will hate that, but Parliament will approve it. So we're going to attach this to the reform. Now, to make up for that negativity, we have to do other things. So we can afford to drop the inheritance tax, maybe to... It's not showing there. Let's do 12%. Yes, it's costing us, but much less than we're going to make through the VAT increase. People are actually not totally okay with that. I'm looking for green smiley faces. What about getting rid of the wine tax? We like rum in Cuba. That's going to make them happy. What? It actually doesn't make them happy. I have to say I'm finding the Cuban people quite unpredictable. What can we do then? Surely you'd be happy if we drop the tax on the wine. Come on now. Tobacco tax. Of course that's going to hurt the Cuban cigar sector. No, I want to drop stuff, not create things. Okay, income tax. Let's go the obvious way. Now, of course, there's a very progressive tax system here. 50% for the high bracket. Let's give people a little bit of a break. That's a lot. Good grief. Okay, maybe we'll still make a profit. They don't like that? What's wrong with these people? I've never seen anyone not like a drop in the VAT. Maybe it's because they're all in the low bracket. Let's try that. Still don't like it. Why would you not want a drop in the value or the income tax? So strange. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna give everyone a 1% drop, but the middle one I'm just dropping 1.5%. This costs us, but the VAT will make us, I think, 611, so we'll still come out on top. I don't care if they like it now. You see, now I'm becoming a dictator. I'm just doing it. I'm forcing it down your throat. Is there anything else I can do? No, I don't want to do that. See, I scroll the wheel and then stuff happens. Real estate tax. They don't like a drop in any of the tax. Well, then we'll just have to live with this. I'll have to make them like me. I'll have to make them love me some other way. Oh well. Let's have a look. What else can we do? Of course, we don't want to do too much at once. So, I might, though, increase the number of soldiers just because we have so few of them. And if we ever have any kind of serious uprising, we're going to be in trouble. And what did I say? Right, first let's have a look at this.
Your politics are on the right track.
So the head of the army likes us, that's one good thing.
We are awaiting your instructions to direct.
Now I did hear, okay, so that's just saying there's an uprising. This is the National Association for an Alternative World. Now just before we dive into that, I did hear actually from another YouTuber who is also well known. He doesn't have a huge sort of reach, but it's really unfortunate. But this is the one I mentioned before, a Saint and a Simmer. He mentioned, now I think he's much more experienced with this game than I am, that as soon as you take power, it's almost like there's scripted revolts in your country. And one of the ways you deal with that is opening the immigration, let's just have a look, the integration policy. But, well, we'll just have to deal with this.
The rioters have taken.
So now apparently these are the people from the National Association for an Alternative World. They really don't like us, but we will just deal with this. Now we can deal with this in two ways. We can do it the easy way or the hard way. The hard way is also the best way because that means we now go into the city and we have to, fight the battle with our police and all of that. But the police are very weak. The easy way is just to say, give the army the order to attack and end the uprising. That automates it, but of course because you're using the army against the people, you lose popularity. But I tend to just do this anyway because it gets so tedious after a while. This is one aspect of the game that can certainly use automation. Why can't I say give the police the order to end the uprising? Why do I have to do it manually? But anyway, let's do it. Should we do reinforcements? No, we'll just go into it. So they're all focused in one area. I'll do this once, but then after I'm sending the army, I just don't care. Look at how many there are. And they've got so many hooligans as well. That's the ones with the bats there. And we've got 3 police and another one there. You know what? I'm gonna do this the easy way. Give the army the order, confirm, just do it, just handle it. I don't want to deal with that. And we certainly are going down the way of becoming a new dictatorship, but I don't care. Let them do it. I don't want to manually do that. So, of course, this is the result of our new taxation policies there, but people seem to like it on the whole. So at least it did give us a slight boost in our popularity. There, see? Easy.
There's no more unrest.
Why should I do this manually? Purchasing power has increased. The environment has increased because of the deforestation tax. Agriculture slightly down because it does hurt hurt them if you have a deforestation tax. And social has dropped. For some reason, I guess it's because of the VAT increase. But anyway, we scored in the end. Now we see there's a slight drop because of the military action there. I don't care. I'm just going to handle it that way. So, where was I? I was saying we need some troops. Okay, they've been released, the ones that were arrested. Army. Right, so we have to get more than 300 troops. So let's see, what's the maximum increase at once? 1,000, just like it was with the mercenaries before. So we'll do this. And also I'm increasing their monthly salary from 10, I guess, dollars per month, which is not quite... Maybe that is actually accurate. I'm not sure. But let's increase it to 15. Not going to cost us that much. And this will absolutely get the military behind us 100%. Right, stop. Let's have a look at our newspaper. And there's still nothing there. Still growing pains. All of that. So we'll see more about that later. What's happening here? Looks like the mercenaries are coming back again. There's a Qatari freighter. I guess the refugees are back now. I think so. Alright, so let's do one more thing before I end this episode, and that is schedule appointments with our close family and friends, and possibly a few other key figures. I think it's a good thing. Again, this I learned from a saint and a simmer. Family and friends. So now we see our family for the first time. And for some reason I have a husband. So there's that idea. But okay, we'll run with that. Now see, I've had this bug before. That's why I'm looking. I guess we'll have to leave it like this. I've struggled with this when I was playing South Africa as well. For some reason, because this is purely random, they now give me a husband who happens to be heterosexual. Now, how on earth can that make sense? How can I have a heterosexual husband in a homosexual relationship? He must really want a Cuban passport. I don't know. Now, I can change this here to homosexual, which is the obvious thing it should be in the first place. But I've also tried to divorce this guy, his equivalent in South Africa, but it just never goes through. But we'll try it. Because look at his age, he's 93 years old. It was the same thing in South Africa, it was a 75-year-old. Why these old straight men are married to male politicians, I have no idea. I don't have a problem with that in the least, but come on now. Why is he heterosexual? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I'm going to divorce him if I can. I don't think it will ever actually happen. Confirm, I want to meet you tomorrow for some bad news. I want to speak to my astrologer. I don't know why I have an astrologer, but for some reason I do. I have a faithful friend. Your faithful friend can actually assassinate you as well, so that's why I want to keep him close. Father, mother is 112 years old. God, so how old was she when I was born? Okay, she's 112. Let me have a look at myself. I'm 47, so what would that be? Good grief. Math is failing me. Old. 70 something, 60 something. No, it should be 60 something. 65? Well, if that makes sense to you, then good luck. And of course my doctor, because I want to not die from the stress in my first few days of power. So let's go ahead and meet them. Skip to the next event and pause. Whoa, militarism. This is because of the troops that I appointed. Liberties and militarism are hurt, but the employment and the defense and all of that go up. So I guess on the whole, it also brought up our popularity. Let's start with the astrologer.
Thanks. Now I will spread out.
So, again, if someone can explain this to me, I'd be very happy. What does this mean, Graciela Zudez? Is this giving us a hint of some reason? Because the rest is all nonsense about bacon and maple syrup and all stuff, but what does this name mean? Is this someone we should meet? Graciela Zudez. I'm writing this down.
That's all for today. And now, if you
Maybe it's just nonsense,
I
but
would like to read your bank card. Thank you.
I've written it down. I would like to read your bank statement, please. You see? That's all it's about. Now, husband, I have some bad news for you. At your age, it might just kill you, but anyway. I don't want to see you again. I want a divorce. Okay, when you want. And that's it. And now, for some reason, I bet you he still likes us. Yep, still full smiley face. Strange.
I don't usually like smooching scenes, but I wanted to tell you that you're well regarded in the barracks. The guys would fight to the death for you, and I totally agree with them. You've got some guts.
And that's great because that means the army is with us, so they're not gonna depose me in a coup, and that's what I want. Okay, stop. Another uprising. You see, now we have to deal with all this stuff. They don't even give me 2 weeks.
We are waiting your instructions to...
Let's just meet people first. Father. Well, as young as ever, Dad.
Jerk, why don't you work instead of mucking up our father?
It's hostile, but anyway. Give him his pills.
Leave me alone with this poison.
Encourage him to reduce his gambling. He hasn't caused any problems with that yet, so I'm not going to do that yet. Lend him my official car.
No need, huh?
So he doesn't even need that. But he likes us, not the full smiley face, but that's alright.
You can forget about your choo-choo.
You see, his moral character is quite deficient. I could bribe him probably, but there's no need. You just want your family and friends to like you, otherwise they cause scandals and things like that. In the meeting. My faithful friend, should I cancel your traffic offences?
Yeah, that's really nice.
He doesn't have any at the moment. Limit your scheming, just in case.
You scared of smears? Okay, I'm going to calm things down and get a season ticket for the championship matches.
Well, that sounds promising. Ask him about market trends.
Look at this sector.
Non-conventional oil sector is apparently... Look at the sector. This is what really needs to be avoided. A bottomless pit. So is he saying this is a bad sector then? Non-conventional oil. I'm just writing this down. Next episode we're going to have a closer look at this. Right. In the meeting. Now, date of divorce. Alright, so this is a good thing, but again, I've seen this before, but then it doesn't really go through.
The separation will soon be approved. It's the end of what has become...
So our advisor is saying we're gonna get a divorce. Sporting defeat. So now they're rioting because of a sporting defeat.
The rioters have...
Well, it's the anti-racism organization. So maybe those two things are unrelated, but I'm just going to have them put down because why are you rioting? You've not even given me a chance to do anything. Just end the uprising, and when it's done, we are going to end the episode. Neither particularly happy nor particularly unhappy. Gross national happiness. At least we know it's gone up lately, so that's one good thing. Did I ever read the newspaper? Really becoming lost in my own thoughts here. Oh yeah, it was just blank. Sour grapes. First barricades. First victims. Population. See, the impact is not bad from the first victims, because surely if they rise up against us, they deserve that, right? So, Mother, have some flowers.
Oh,
You are the most beautiful mother in the whole world.
let's see.
I'm not gonna encourage her to be discreet or talkative. It's not really, there's no reason for that at this point. End this uprising.
The rebels have stopped fighting.
My doctor?
Wow, you're really running high there.
Okay, so he's saying he's giving us vitamins and all of that. So maybe it means we're more healthy now.
In light of recent events, we'll proceed to...
Okay, we'll just have a look.
To the rebel movement.
There, it's over. You see, so much easier, so much less stress. Just let the army finish them off. Spoken like a true dictator. Frustrated an attack on a karaoke bar in Camagüey. So I guess a new democratic movement is already starting up for no good reason, because we've literally just taken over as the Cuban democratic movement. But there's no one there. You see, it's... I guess this is where the bugs come in. Let's infiltrate them anyway if we can. You see, we can't. Usually it will say infiltration in progress. So, what's this? The communists. Is he actually a communist? Oh, he's a youth and sports attaché. I was thinking, is he the minister? No. Our country did not shine. We did not win medals at the judo championship. I cover my eyes, good for nothings. Maybe this is telling us we need to invest more in sports, specifically judo. I don't know if we can. We'll have a look. Priority 4. Judo/sports. Okay, I'm going to keep track of this stuff. Mostly I ignore it, but I want to really try this time. So, I'm going to leave it here, comrades. I know, again, it's not a lot of time that's passed, but it's still been quite eventful. We've had uprisings and meetings and cabinets and laws and all of that sort of thing. So, leave me some advice again if you want us to focus on specific things, or if you see things that I need to pay attention to. Because, again, I'm also learning the intricacies of this game. But anyway, see you next time, comrades. I really enjoy doing these, so let's continue. Viva la revolución!